Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and today I wanted to talk about something that is really kind of an interesting phenomenon in the online fitness and nutrition community, and we've really come full circle with this, as we were reminded when I did an interview with a young bodybuilder named Pete, who had developed an eating disorder from his first bodybuilding show from the contest prep that remained long after he was done with it. And that's this idea that by switching from clean eating to if it fits your macros or flexible dieting, that it is somehow going to prevent eating disorders, or it's going to be a defense against eating disorders. And in my experience and observation, since this phenomenon has become more widespread, is that nothing could be further from the truth. Our community in and of itself, the fitness world, tends to draw in relatively obsessive people. It tends to draw in people who in many ways are very prone to eating disorders or have a history of eating disorders. And by using this sort of method, in my experience, it doesn't change the ratios or percentages of eating disorders at all. It's not even a useful tool for this. So whatever method you choose to use, you really need to be aware of the development of these eating disorders, because it is possible to follow what people would call a clean eating plan, or any sort of dietary plan that has some sort of food avoidance, and have an eating disorder or not have an eating disorder. And the same with the flexible dieting, or if it fits your macros. And what I would say to most people, in my experience, when you start seeing people who do the flexible dieting approach and they start worrying about they can't eat out at a restaurant that doesn't have the exact macros for their food, or they can't find the macros for their food or the exact weights of their foods, or they start obsessing about to count the 2 grams of carbs or not that's in their packet of Splenda and their coffee, they're now in danger of an eating disorder, because now their food choices and their diet is causing stress in their life. And you'll see that a lot. The people who follow these sort of plans, who have an exact macro count, they can't go out to eat any more than some people who follow a clean eating approach. And for me, for example, I don't track macros anymore. I've been cutting very successfully recently. I don't track macros. I use a low carb approach, and I give myself one massive cheat day per month, and I don't track anything on the cheat day, and I only loosely track calories on my other days. And again, I'm losing fat pretty successfully doing this. But for me, I can go to any restaurant anywhere here in Texas where I'm at and walk in and find meals that fit my dietary approach, and I don't even have to have an exact weight. So for me, there's no stress there. It doesn't hurt my social life. It's not socially awkward for me to walk in with a group of friends or on a date and order a rare steak with steamed veggies, or to order barbecued brisket and a giant bowl of green beans. Very easy to do, and a side salad on top of that. And it works for my meal plan. It works very, very well for that, with no stress and no social awkwardness. By that same token, what you're seeing now, all these people who have these strict macros who they can't deviate from, they start running into problems and they can't get exact weights or macro counts. And what I would advise for most people, if you want to follow the flexible dieting, or if it fits your macros approach, don't follow exact macros. That's the worst idea ever in terms of trying to avoid eating disorders. If you look at it logically, anyone who understands nutrition to any level can tell you that if you've been assigned macros of 300 grams of carbs a day and a set number of calories, that you will not see any noticeable difference in your body composition over the next month if you went with 250, 300, or 350 grams of carbs. You could get away with going 10 to 15% either direction away from your set carb macros without it making any noticeable difference whatsoever in your body composition on the same number of calories, as long as the net calories are the same on either way. So this whole idea that you need to follow exactly specifically set macros and that it's going to make any noticeable difference in your results is setting yourself up for the eating disorders and the frustration. And if you're prone even slightly, if you're worried about following a clean eating plan because you have a history of any sort of eating disorders or disordered eating or an unhealthy relationship with food as a result of food avoidance, and you start following an exact macro plan that doesn't allow you a large degree of discretionary calories in there like that, then you are probably going to run into the same problems that you ran into before when following some sort of restrictive diet. And that's something that people need to be aware of when they go into these things, that flexible dieting and hitting exact macros doesn't always offer you the freedom that you think it does. It might feel that way at first, but oftentimes you can find yourself just as messed up and just as obsessive with your eating and having just as many social issues around going out to eat and anxiety from your food choices as you did with the other approach, because you're just prone to it as a person. And if that's the case, you've got to be aware of that and make concessions to deal with that. So there's two sides of the coin here. All right, guys, well, that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.